Greetings, my name is Sumitiper and welcome to ACERVO Season 4 Episode 2, The Museum of Last Things. There exists a peculiar museum in the local metropolis. It prides itself as a museum of lasts, works of art and unfinished creations from moments before their creator's death. Some describe this museum as macabre. Others describe it as an odd but not really noteworthy experience. In fact, the story of this museum began with the death of the person who ordered this construction to be built. Originally, the plans were made for a museum of the evolution of pop culture. However, when the first exhibit was opened to the public, the owner of the museum fell deathly ill and passed in 2 weeks. There were very few exhibits, only 2 of them complete and 5 others being set up. The new management decided to gift the items of the unfinished exhibits to other museums and put the items of the 2 complete exhibits in storage. Just as it opened, it sat on the brink of being closed. But the owners thought more deeply. The first exhibit was the last guitar of the famous rock musician Ed the Ghoul, which he played in his last live show before passing away due to a car accident while on the way to his hotel. His death was considered important because just as the news was finishing their coverage on the show, they shifted to cover his accident and death. With a new direction, the museum put up the exhibit to illustrate the last moments of Ed's life. They put up the guitar, a television with a recording of the news talking about the live show, and then about his death, and for those who wanted to listen, snippets of the audio recording of the live show. There was great intrigue in this odd museum, and soon enough more and more displays were made. Some people expected their death, others had it happen unexpectedly. There was no common factor unifying all works except for being the creator's last work. Several of the visitors described being unnerved but intrigued by all of the works. Critics said that this was a good place to contemplate your own mortality. One particularly popular area was the Hall of the Muses, models that had passed away and whose photos and clothes were all that remained. Among those, a particular highlight was the photograph album of Irene Valley-Verde. She was on a trip to a famous friend's house when she had to do an unexpected photo shoot for a calendar, a series of products and advertisements. The entire job lasted 2 months, and once she had free time again, she went to finally visit her friend. As she made her way to his house, she was stabbed and robbed, being left to die alone in the streets. What makes this more highlighted is that the dress she wore was one of the dresses used in the photo shoot. The photos of beautiful women showed that not even beauty will free you from death. Irene had a brutal death that still remained unsolved. Unfortunately, not the only person represented in the museum whose death was shrouded by mystery. Indeed, many of these people who died young had met their fate by simple coincidence, being at the wrong place at the wrong time. There were also people who expected their death. The last painting of Homer Lutz was a great example. He became known for his colorful, fluid, abstract paintings on small canvases, though, as he aged, the colors became starker and the lines less geometric and more fluid, the last work being a complete departure from all others. A medium-sized canvas was painted with a vibrant red background. Shaky lines of white streaked across the canvas. These lines were small and weak, unlike the bold and strong shapes he drew when younger. The final work of prestigious artist Maria Helena was starkly different from the work of Mr. Lutz. Maria had become famous for her paintings of daily life, oftentimes including all of the erratic and unpleasant situations some might experience during their life. Her final work was different. She began to paint more peaceful situations, and continued with her last piece, The Lady at the Park, a painting of a lovely sunny day in which a lady looked away from the canvas and into a beautifully pristine lake. There were ducks and fishes, flowers, trees, and grass made up the environment. The blue sky shined and everything in the picture was delicately kissed by the sun. Works of art of all different types were in display: music, sculptures, photography, paintings, drawings, and writings. The writings were the smallest area of the museum. It contained exactly three works: a letter from a man to his sister, the diary of a once famous screenwriter, and the final poem of Lady Alina. There was an attempt to get more, but the families of deceased writers were the most protective of them all. The main area of the museum featured the oddest piece, an unfinished globe made by an unknown globe maker. There wasn't much to say about it, just that it is an odd thing to see, the only thing close to the final work of any inventor. Even though this globe was no invention of this individual, and the globe maker was by no means an inventor. The museum wasn't the most popular in the city, though it was deemed one of the most intriguing and creative. A significant number of people were against its existence, though it has always made clear that the items were all donated, either from other museums or from family members of the dead. There were specialists who studied the pieces of the creators who were aware that they didn't have too long to live. Few things were common among them, and debate was always present. The museum was not flashy or greatly disturbing. There were no artifacts worn during death, and nothing that had blood or other bodily fluids within it. The owner feared that it might have been against the law to have such things. The museum continued and prospered. It had two expansions and was visited by several famous people, most commonly the family of the deceased, but also celebrities and politicians. Some claimed to have left with a deeper appreciation of life, while others commented of boredom and disinterest. All of these are their own experiences when faced with the final creations of someone before their death. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Sumitiper, and thank you so much for watching.